So Shot C, Overcast Valley. This is another one of my favorite, and we're going to cut a bit from our setup and to work with the Essential even more. So here, take a look at the shot itself. We got two backlights. We are using just the Aputure 600X and the Alien 300, both on colder tones, and this time we are also bringing back the Nalite Evoc that are also helping us for the overcast and will also help us with the green and the fact that we want to wash a bit the shadow on our foreground. We are also using those two stacks diffusers on the right side with the key that we are going to see right now. And let's take a look actually at the scheme itself. So we have the Evoc, same again temperature as always, 100%, and also we have on the back our 600X at 6000 Kelvin and the Alien at 58,000 Kelvin. So we have those two backlights that are a bit colder to motivate the ambient that we're going to see in a second from now. And as a key, I used the 720B and 300B, both at the same, wide temperature that we use for the green screen at 100% and 185%, to scatter the bit on our subject. And one of the two diffusers is full, the other one is 1/4, because I want to have a different readability on our shadows, obviously. So here you can see it, and obviously you can see how it works differently on the key and how the negative it's impacting our subject as long as she comes through the camera. We have this rock on the left side that actually it's working pretty well and justified by our negative, and you can see it here. And one thing that I might say right now by watching at it, because as said previously, when we were shooting this, obviously we weren't able to see directly what we were shooting. We were supposing basically, obviously, of how we set out our ambient. So I actually made this cinematography, but I'm not perfect. So right now, what I might say here by watching at the schemes, that I might have crank down a bit more the Evoc, maybe around 80% or something like, because I'm pretty happy with the result, but I might like them crank it down just a bit. I'm happy with the backlights that are justifying that cold, and I'm happy with the key, obviously, and with the negative. It's working great. But again, this is my interpretation. Take it, use it as you wish, and obviously make your own interpretation starting from this. And then we have the exact sequence from this scene. Now she is entering into these assets and we are maintaining the same situation. We made all those shots in stack, so the main difference here that I might have done is maybe crank a bit down even more the Alien at the Aputure, but on the overall it works pretty well. Distances from the emitters plays a huge role here. Being really far from the key helps us a lot, setting up the tone of the environment that we have right there, and it makes me happy with the results, obviously, because it's that what we want. She's submerged in black because she's entering even more inside this situation, inside this environment. And so I'm pretty happy with it, and I think that it works in a really great way. So next video we're going in the Death Valley, or that's actually how I called this asset, and we are going to change our model here. We have a different model that also made with us, other sets that are going to be included on the next month on the masterclass. We are updating things on it already. We want to give you always something more, so other case study, other things that I didn't want to put them right now right here, even because I think that all the ones that are already available right now are more than enough for the first release, and I want to overwhelm you. I want to give you the baseline that you already said that we have seen at with that, then watching all their case history through times and updates of the masterclass. Another thing that I want to remember you is that you have for free on your Telegram and on your Discord group also the light, not just the light emitters handbook, but also the light schemes handbook. So all the schemes that you are seeing here on the masterclass obviously have been made specifically for the masterclass itself. So these are custom and these are premium just obviously for you here. But actually, if you want to like create your own from zero and add extra inspiration, know that you have a free PDF for the Light Schemes handbook that is available on our Telegram group or on our Discord group. If you can find it, just write to us. But by the way, it's on Telegram on the resources section, and there is a free download here. If you want the physical copy, we have the physical copy, and you can purchase it also on the store, but still in the PDF, it's free just for you in the masterclass. So Death Valley, next case study right inside Unreal, right here on the next video.
In this video, I will tell you about the post-process workflow about these two composites. In this case, we use a single footage which our subject will change the orientation of her walk. I chose this tilt movement also because I wanted to show a little bit also the environment and not only the subject. In this case, the camera track process, it was really simple. We don't have tracking point in this frame specifically, but we have a good contrast and a lot of static element that helps our camera tracking process. And when the tilt ends, we can see also our trackers. And also the camera movement was really slow, and I didn't need to use custom trackers in my workflow. About the chroma key in this case, it was really simple. I used my IBK colors to create my clean plate, and after I used my key light and my prime matte to isolate my subject. I can tell you that you can achieve a perfect result also with Nuke non-commercial. We can also check the details of the hairs of my subject. In this case, we don't have to try to save some fine details. It's a really simple footage, and we can use without any problem Nuke non-commercial in this case. About the display, in this case, I choose for a dark blue in order to match in a proper way my footage with my environment. Now let's talk about the environment. I decided to put my subject in front of this gate because I want to also shoot this giant wall with this strange symbol on it, like to create a sort of narration inside of my clip. Obviously, there is no narration, it's just a showcase, but I think is a fun exercise trying to create a story in a single clip, just to think more about what we want to see inside our CG render. For example, in this shot, these symbols maybe tells about an ancient civilization, and our subject want to explore this cave in order to discover something about these people. In this case also, I didn't make so much changes in the environment. I just expand the rock terrain just to make possible to our subject walk in this zone. And also I add some dust and garbage element like these rocks on the left and the right to make this custom floor more realistic. About the other composite that I made, in this case, I found some troubles in order to give a good result. And I think it is a really good case study in order to see you a alternative method to chroma key your footage using all the knowledge that we achieve during this masterclass. For example, in this case, I didn't use the screen cleaner tool because I found some issues during the process, and I think more easy avoid the screen clean. So I directly made my chroma key process after the denoise node. As you can see, I use the key light and the premat, but you can also use the non-commercial tool and you will achieve the same result. The main difficulty of this chroma key is to delete all the shadows from my footage. As you can see, the result of our chroma key will leave some dark areas, and I found impossible eliminate this area without affecting our subject, also using the premat. So I made another chroma key process dedicated to my shadows. As you can see, I create another key light, connect to my denoise node, and I pick only the shadows in this case. In this case, I eliminate completely the shadows from my footage. I also adjust the clip black and the clip white in order to achieve a better result. And after I add a blur node in order to make my key light softer. And after I use a merge set on the multiply operation to combine my two chroma key process. After that, I use a rotor node to mask the area of my shadows, because simply combining these chroma keys, I will obtain a really bad result on my subject, as you can see. But using a mask, I preserve the quality of my original chroma key, and I use my new chroma key only for the shadows areas. And as you know, I track manually this mask for the entire duration of my sequence. And as you can see in the final output, we achieve a really good result simply using another key light and combining with our original chroma key. I will show you the previous result. As you can see, we have this ugly selection of the shadow that it was impossible to remove, even as I said, with the Pro Tools of Nuke. I think that this case study is really important because it could be sometimes that you will need to fix some problems about your footage, and you don't have to fear for a simple shadows area that you can remove simply using the traditional method.
So here we are in the Death Valley sequence. We have our model, as you can see here, that it's actually lit by a golden scenario, a really different scenario from the ones that we see so far. That's the first time where we have our Nanolite Evoque not at the same temperature as our green screen. Here I wanted to maintain everything a bit warmer, so the Evoque is at 4000 Kelvin. We have our backlight 27,000 and 32,000, and then the Alien 27,000 still, and the 300B at 4,000. So we wanted to like create this kind of golden scenario, as we'll see in a bit, by maintaining the same temperature in our camera, maintaining a negative fill, and again having our Nanolite as a key that is bouncing and being diffused as a key on our model. And on the backlight, I want to like not use my aperture, but my Nanolite 300B and the 300C as the main ones that will focus on our model to create this kind of golden silhouette, and the Alien that will help us out just a bit, merging the right side, giving it a bit more of power, but in a smoother way. And as you can see from the shot itself, we created this kind of roundness on our model, and by creating this roundness, we are also defining these shapes in a really cool way. The good thing about the tracker itself is that it's also keeping the bounciness that we have from our dolly. You can see it here, right here, bouncing a bit. So that's the best thing that might happen to you, because it means that it has been tracked in the proper way, and in the end, if you want, you can just stabilize the final composite and not the starting image. But yeah, you can also stabilize the starting image, but we decided to go raw and letting you see just everything how it has been shot. And I love this scheme because actually it is working in a really cool way. You know, the backlight are working properly, the negative is doing a really great job, and we also use this same scheme to take another shot in a really similar way, you know, and letting you see how it works properly. These backlights are really defining the mood and the tone, and at the same time, as you can see, the key is like helping it merging in even more. So again, when you're doing this kind of stuff, you always want to take count of the fact of your environment, how you want your image to stand out, and how you want it to be like represented on the environment itself. If you want to have this punch, you know, on the backlight, you want obviously to work in this way differently, starting with a stronger like emitter, a more something that is a bit more like harsh, and then diffuse it in a different way. We have 1 1/8, 1 1/4, you know, and diffusing them in different way, it also creates this kind of three-dimensionality, this shape. I'm repeating myself a bit, you know, during the video on some topics, but because these are really important for you to understand. So that's the main thing, that's the main core. That's why on the next video we are going to go in a really simpler setup. It's the interview setup, you know, really simpler, that you can use for interviews on obviously simpler assets. We decided to put our model on still a fantasy / strange asset, that's to let you see that with Unreal you can do also something like this, but really that's another case scenario. And again, during time we're going to update the mask class, adding some more of them, and from this to the light schemes handbook that you find again on our private groups, you will be able to take everything we talk about and just like being inspired on your upcoming sets with Unreal Engine. I'll see you in the next video.
In this video, I will tell you about the post-process workflow behind of this result. Let's start to talk about the camera tracking. In this case, I did any camera track process because on set we use a specific tool to analyze our camera movement and our lens and integrate the data directly inside the Unreal Engine project. In this way, we not only achieve the camera movement but also all the data from the lens, such as the focus changes of our lens. In this way, we integrated a real focus changes inside of Unreal. Obviously, this tool is more expensive than a classical camera track inside of Nuke, but using this method, you can shoot on set scenes without think about the tracker point, about the camera movement, about the motion blur that could be a problem in order to have a simple track inside of Nuke. So I think a really good tool to have more flexibility on set and also save time during the post-process workflow. And also is a really powerful tool for the DOP and the camera assistant, because using this method you can also have a preview of your composite directly inside Unreal during the set. In this way is also more easy for the DOP to create the illumination based on the Unreal Engine environment. And also you can do some edit of your environment on set. For my opinion, is also a really good tool when your client is on set and he don't have the, and obviously as he's not a technician, he don't have the idea of the final result that you can achieve using Unreal Engine. Now let's talk about the chroma key process. I made this chroma key using the Pro Tools of Nuke, but I tried also to recreate the same result with Nuke Non-Commercial, and as this clip have a read contrast between the dark area and the bright areas, you will achieve the same result using the free tools of Nuke Non-Commercial. As you can see also, we don't have so much grain cast on our subject, so the dispel work pretty well without any type of problems. This is the result of my chroma key process. In the dispel process, I add some orange tint to my subject because I was conscious about the environment that I want to insert my subject. About the environment, this is a free environment provided by Epic Games, but I made an adjustment about the lighting of this environment. In this case, I eliminated all the lighting actors of my environment and I use a external plugin called Ultra Dynamic Sky. It's a paid plugin, it's not expensive. I think you can buy with $40. I use it a lot in my project, and in this case was crucial for me in order to be fast on set to change the lighting of my environment. So in this case I use the tool as a shortcut in order to be smart on set and don't lose time during the changes of my lighting. In this case, for my personal taste, I did insert fog in this composite, and also I used the Z defocus node only to make my environment more smooth, but all the focus changes of my environment are made inside of Unreal with the data of the tool that we use on set. As you can see, we can also deactivate our Z defocus node and the result is almost the same. With the grade node, I match the exposure of my environment with my footage and nothing more. It was a really simple workflow and I achieved this result, I think, in less than 1 hour.
This is a really simple one, but I wanted to add it. And this is the interview setup. Really simple, but still in the same time, it's really handy to have it and to add it from the schemes that you also might have seen till now. So a really simple setup. We don't have our evoke. We have just our null light as a key bouncing on our white bounce with our diffuser, and then we have our different backlights to motivate this kind of cold background cap that we have right here. So we have the Aperture 6000, the Alien 58,000, and then our null light at 50%, matching, you know, the same temperature, but just giving a bit of a kick with that Fresnel lens on our backlight. So we are motivating everything in a really smooth way, but we still want that, like, that touch of our light on her hair just a bit. That's just, you know, another way to see an interview, another way of like illuminating a subject for some kind of an interview. Next video, it's a special one, it's a bonus one. We made a special environment, we called it the bridge still. It's we wanted to keep this for an update with other videos, but we wanted to add it like extra minute right now. And so here it is to you on the next video, and then I will leave you with the ACES setup to interpret this type of footage and to work with this type of footage. And yeah, and then we're going to wrap it up for the course, and I hope you love it so far. If you love it, leave a comment, let us know what you think about it. It means the world to us, and I'll be seeing you in the next video.
In this video, I want to tell you the post-production process about a sort of interview in this case. In this case, we used the Dark Ruiz environment just to be faster, but you can choose wherever environment you want. in this case, I decided to use a static shot, but using the Nuke workflow and not the After Effects workflow. In this case, this is a handheld flip, so I use the DaVinci stabilizer to freeze my camera. Since we are using a static camera, I made only the chroma key process, and as you can see, I use the free chroma key process. And honestly, I found this process more efficient than using the skylight and the prime matte, only for this specific case. I don't know why, but I found a better result using the IBK gizmo and the key light. As you can see, I also tried to use a blur after the key light, but after I decided to deactivate it. About the kill speed, I leave the default values and I simply decreasing the exposure of my background. And after I merge my footage with my CG environment. About the environment, in this case, I eliminate all the lighting inside the shot and I put only 3 lights inside of it. One key light that illuminate our subject, another light on top of our subject, and after this spotlight in the background, just to don't create a really dark background for our subject. About the camera, I simply add a new camera inside of my environment and I used my media plate for a reference to understand the better position for my camera. I obviously render my camera without the depth of field, and after I add a Z-Defocus node inside my Nuke Node 3 to create the right depth of field. And obviously, since this is a static shot, I simply use one keyframe for my Z-Defocus node. As you can see, this is a really simple case study. But I decided to show you this process because you can combine different workflow and create a new workflow. Because in this case, we use a static shot that normally is made for the After Effects workflow, but we put our static shot inside of Nuke and we use the power of the chroma key of Nuke to create a great result. In this case, obviously, we use a static shot also in Unreal to match the CG environment and our footage.
So as said, special episode, the bridge. Let's jump into it. I love this shot. We wanted to maintain it for the next update, but here we go. Here we have it. Again, another setup that, you know, will show you how you can actually like achieve a lot by placing meticulously and with the proper like power and proper color your equipment. And here we use some different stuff around. We haven't used actually our evoke for an overcast effect. We haven't needed, and that's the only set that we saw so far with our key light directly to our subject. So without any further, let's take a look at it in our scheme. So we have our aperture off, turned off. We have also our nanolight evoke, as said, turned off. And then we have our key, nanolight 700B, at the really like weird temperature, 4250 Kelvin, that actually might seem a mismatch to you to what it is, or white balance. But still, another thing that I want to open and let you think about, you don't want to have your key light exactly at the same temperature as the white balance, you know? There's a lot more cinematography masterclass about this, but you want to have a key light that motivates and match what you have on your scene, and we're going to see about that in a second. And at the same time, we have some weirdness also on the backlight. We have a 4000 Kelvin nanolight 300B, and then a 4000 Kelvin nanolight 300C, and the alien that is merging up in a bit warmer way with 36 1085%. And still I wanted to have my 300C full flood with a diffuser at full and my 300B raw as it is. And here I also used the white balance to open up a bit the power of our backlights that are working on our subject to have this result right here. And the thing that makes it as it is, cool as it is in my opinion, is that you have and you feel this differentiation from the point 1 to the point 2 where our actress goes to the final point. You can feel it because actually you can literally see that when she comes to the camera, you know, she became more and more bright up, lit up, you know, and you also can see those warmer tones on the right side that are motivating our light on the right upper corner, and our candles that are really working properly on our subject. And we feel as he enters the beam on our environment how it works on hair. And again, let's see the scheme. Let's see the scenes that we have right here. And again, this might open you to other possibility, and also to the fact that you just want to give your own interpretation to your scenes. The cool thing here, again, is that you need to think about merging different type of light, different types of exposure, different types of power of colors, okay? And you don't have to close yourself in the usage of just 1 emitter on one type of like modifier, one type of white balance, everything in the same way. Create that depth. And again, here we have just 4 emitters in total, you know, 3 backlights and 1 key. But again, this same thing might have been done like with 2 emitters, okay? But I wanted to create something in the professional way, obviously, that stands out, that works properly. And that's my interpretation, okay? Different kind of emitters that you don't have to use them all, but you have to use them meticulously to create this type of final output. And to prove yourself, obviously, that I'm not kidding when I say that you can do something like this with 2 emitters. On the next video, I created a really crappy situation, but not a crappy output, but a crappy situation where I just put 2 emitters, and with 2 emitters, I lit the green screen, myself, and also with a bounce, a key light, you know, all just with 2 emitters, the Alien and another emitter. I think it's the Nanlite 300C or something like this. So just with 2 of them, you can see that right now with the Notion that you have, you can bring home something professionally, even if it's made in that crappy way. And I wanted to make it just to let you understand that even in the worst case scenario right now, you are safe. And also, I again suggest you to see the Light Schemes Handbook, because again, it's all about interpretation. You can see it. That's my interpretation for my final output. You can do your own type of interpretations, your own final outputs, or just take this and maybe try to do something different with other scenario. Now it's your turn, and it's your turn to go outside and experiment with your own clips, your own footage, and what you're going to do with it, with these notions. Next video, you're going to see what I mean by using just 2 emitters. I wanted to make it really fast to let you show what I mean. And then we're going to see the ACES workflow, because right now we have this. Leo showed you all the post part, and then we're going to finalize our images with the ACES color workflow. Managed, not managed, but all inside DaVinci Resolve. I'll see you inside the next video.
Welcome back. In this video, we will talk about the post-production process for this result. This is my favorite composite that I created for this masterclass. And also, this is the faster composite that I made. So there is no better combination between a great result made in a fast way. I will start to talk about the camera track. As you can see, it is a really simple camera track. I didn't use any custom track, and also, as you can see in the camera tracker panel, I achieved a really good result, only 0.85 of error value, using only the camera track and deleting some tracks that I want to include in my camera track process. After I created my 2D card node inside of my environment, I create the geocard, and after I export it from Nuke to Unreal. For the chroma key process, nothing special. I use my IBK colors to create my cream plate. In this case, more IBK colors than usual to create a good result. And after I use the Pixiv green screen to create my green background. After I use the Keylight and the Primat for my chroma key process, but I tried also to create the same result with the free version of Nuke, and I created the same result that you can see in this video. That's because this footage is a really simple footage to chroma key it, like the bridge footage that we used for the tutorials video. After I used the Pixef Kill Spill, and I use a orange tint to emphasize the color of the lighting. About the environment, I add some spotlight and some rect light in this area, and nothing at all. I simply change the color under the bridge from green to white, and I change the material instance color of these cracks that you can see under the bridge from green to orange. Really simple. About the fog, I simply add a VDB with a really soft fog in order to create a really smooth look to my composite. Obviously, I adjust a little bit my fog with the blur and the grid nodes, but really simple. After I merged my reads node and my chroma key footage, and as you can see, I also add the shadows using the green keyer and the luma keyer with the standard process. In this case, I added a lot of blur in my green keyer, my luma keyer, because the tracker on the floor create a lot of issues, and to fix that, I simply add a really high value of blur for my real shadows. And I think that the shadow look is really realistic. So as you can see, this is a really composite workflow with any problems, with any issues, and I achieve a great result without any problem in this case. I always suggest you to start with the chroma key process if you are a beginner with a wide lens footage. In this case, this sequence was shot with a 40mm, and I think it's a great lens because you can achieve a really good result for the chroma key without a lot of problem. Also, the camera track is more easy because you have a lot of information inside of your sequence, and is more easy also to achieve a good result inside of Unreal because you will show a lot of environment using this lens. And also, like in this case, you don't have to use always the ZD focus node inside of your composite. So I suggest you to try with the wide lenses of the practice footage of this masterclass before to start with the close-ups and the all other shots that we made for the masterclass.
So this is the worst case scenario that you might have, but still, if you follow till now all our techniques, you will be still able to bring home something like this. And I wanted to show you this because, you know, not everyone has a really large studio, or it's not, you know, possible for everyone to shot every time with a large green screen, but still in a situation like this, really cheap with one backlight, with one light for my background. Still, look at the green screen.
on the downside, on my feet, I am like 2-3 stops, down from the background. So you will still be able, applying all your Notion, to bring home something that might be still good. And I'm not saying that you have to illuminate in a really cheap way every time, because you will still have a result. But still, I wanted to show you that you don't need to have larger spaces, tons of lights. You just have to know the notions and know the standards. Positioning your subject from the background and illuminating your subject in the proper way, all the things that we taught till now. Apply them, be able to understand where you want to put your subject and how you want to illuminate it, and you will have still a pretty good result.
Okay guys, we are in the same CG area of our worm clip that we saw in the previous video. But in this case we have a really more complex footage to approach. We made this test video just to give you an example of what you don't want to receive when you create compositing inside of Nuke Unreal. But during the post-process workflow, I found a good idea also explain you how to try to fix the problem in post. Obviously, we don't want to fix in post. It's always better make a good work directly on set, but sometimes maybe we can receive a bad footage and we have to complete the work in any case. About the camera tracker, it was a simply camera tracker process. I use some custom trackers, but in this case I have to admit that the camera tracker process, it was quite simple. Maybe only the motion blur give me some difficult, but nothing special. But I found a lot of problem during the chroma key process. Let's start with the IBK color. In this case, the IBK color have difficult to isolate in a proper way our subject. As you can see, we have this area on Filippo's face and also this flare that our IBK color recognized as background. So in order to fix this problem, I created 2 masks and I track it manually frame by frame. This clip also have a lot of shake movement, so it was crucial made a mask changes from each frame of this clip. And as you can see, I combine my mask using a merge node with a mask operation. In that way, I tell to my IBK color to don't consider the area inside of my masks. Sometimes you could also find this problem with a good footage and simply have to help your IBK color tool. And also the PXF tool in this case didn't work well as I wanted. So I create the clean plate using the basic tools of Nuke. In this case I used a merge tool in a divide operation and I connected my clean plate and my original plate. And after I use a grade node to fix the tint shift of my color, picking with the multiply the original color of my green screen. After that, the chroma key process, it was quite simple. Don't look at the merge and the road node that you can see. And about the dispel, like the other clips, I push my dispel to a orange tint in order to match it my footage with my environment. In this case, I didn't try to use the non-commercial version of Nuke on this clip, but I think that you can achieve almost the same result, since all the nodes that you see before the key light and the prime matte are available also in the non-commercial version of Nuke. About the shadow of my subject, unfortunately it was really difficult to restore the original shadows, as you can see, but I have to find a compromise in order to achieve the best result for what I can do with this footage. As you can see, I use also a blur node to make my shadow more smooth in order to integrate better the shadow inside the CG environment. As you can see, we create a good result, but obviously nothing compared with a good footage shot in a proper way. And caused by a bad footage, I took a lot of time to fix the IBK color, to fix the shadows, and as you can see, I didn't create the composite for the entire duration of this footage, but I choose an in and out point to create my composite. In this case, I choose almost 300 frame, and the whole clip I think is 1700 frames. With this video, I want to explain you that nothing is impossible, but obviously it's always better fixing pre-production than try to create a good result in post-production. But as you can see, just being creative and use the all knowledges and all tools that we know inside of Nuke, we can create a good result from a bad footage.
So the ACES workflow, till now we arrived here, we might have our XR output and we want to interpret them inside DaVinci Resolve. And to interpret them inside DaVinci Resolve, we obviously need to work in ACES, as said. If you're completely new to DaVinci Resolve, I added for you before this video a complete walkthrough inside DaVinci Resolve, completely free. So you will be able actually to understand the software itself, and that's a 1 hour long video just to give you a complete walkthrough of DaVinci Resolve. For the ones that already use DaVinci Resolve and that are already inside the color grading color correction world, the next slide might be enough for you to give you the complete understanding of how you want to treat your clips in the ACES color managed workflow. For all the others that maybe are okay and they work with color but still want a more practical touch, on the next video I'll be doing the exact same thing but inside Resolve. So without any further, the ACES color managed workflow A. So the first one that you are seeing is the one via settings. So via the settings of DaVinci Resolve, the software. So from the to let you understand, from the right bottom of the project, going inside color management, and you will find this in the settings. You want to set this up to ACES CC and ACES 1.2 as the version. The 1.3 version is not changing that much, but by the way, for this type of videos, for the training that we are doing right now, the 1.2 is the one that works. Input and output channel, I leave it blank, this too, because it depends on your monitor, your type of delivery, and your type of footage. In our scenario, I might have said that the input transform is my Canon C-Log 2, but I don't want to put anything here because it all depends on the clips that you have and you want to interpret it, and you can interpret them also directly on the color page if they're not managed automatically by obviously the settings. So here again, you might put in the input of your camera, of your clip. If you have the AXR, it might be the ACES G, and on the output maybe the Rec 709 2.2, 2.4, dependently on the output and delivery that you need. And all the other settings down there are for the SDR, so we'll leave it right there. And we're going to say the second workflow, which is the color managed workflow B via timeline settings. So you have your timeline edited, you want to right click there, go into settings and go into color. So we'll have your EXR files on your timeline, and again ACES 1.2, and then here I made an interpretation for the output. I put Rec 709. I might leave it blank, but doing so in this way you will directly see the transcoded, the transformated file on your timeline. And for the node load, ACES AP1 timeline use to again apply this type of conversion. Then you have the third option. So these two, if you want to automatically have them converted. Then the C screen refer is my favorite one because it's more manageable and is the one that I want to show you the most, you know, because in my opinion it's the handier one most of the time. You want to go again on timeline settings or in the settings of your program. Both works in the same way for this reason. And I want to put the color science on DaVinci RGB. In this way, I'll leave my timeline color space is as ACES CG. So we will be floating inside ACES CG, and the output will be the ones that I need for my output. In this case, I put Rec 709 Gamma 2.4. It might be Rec 709 Gamma 2.2, Gamma 2, or whatever, or Rec 709A. It all depends. This is a pretty, good thing to talk about outputs and stuff that we talk about on all the Masterclass or on YouTube videos. But by the way, to let you understand really quickly, if you need to export for broadcast, you need to set obviously and see on your monitor Rec 709 2.4. If you need the delivery for the web or for like Apple devices, is Rec 709A for your output. And then on the color page on the timeline, you want to take the OFX ACES transform, apply it as the IDT input device transform for your file. And again, ACES 1.2, ACES CG as my main input transform interpretation. And then on the output, in this case, I will transform my EXR into an ARRI log C. Why that? Because as I'm going to show you on the next video, I will be going to create like my grading pipeline and actually my node tree based on this, starting with the image that I'm transcoding and interpreting as an ARRI log C file, because it's better for film print emulation, it's better for color grading, for mid-gray, tons of reasons. So I'll start from there and create my really simple structure to go to delivery. And yeah, that's it. Really simple. But in the next video, I'm going to take this and give you the notion to then walk out and make your interpretation and make your own work with your own camera. Again, here I'm interpreting this in ARRI log C, but still, if you want, you can just take your output transform directly even in 709 2.4 if you don't want to color grade. It's okay, it's fine. But I'm gonna show you my way on next video. Again, I hope you like it. I hope you find it useful. Till now, if you are seasoned and you've already followed other color grading masterclass, I think that this is enough for you in terms of color grading to interpret your EXR files, because after that, obviously, the EXR file, it's like another type of file, okay? It's like working with another file that has been baked inside Unreal and Nuke, and then you have it, and it's ready to go like any other file. But for the other one, if you want the more practical way of this, next video inside DaVinci Resolve. I'll see you there. What I want to show you are those three methods that you have to interpret your footage inside Resolve and to create your own project. So the first one is going to be the automatic one and maybe the fastest one. You want to go into settings inside Resolve and then go into color management that normally will be set in this way. Then you want to go into color science and ACES CC. Okay, then when we are in ACES CC, want to put the version as ACES 1.2, and we can choose the input and the output transform. What it happens if we click save, it's obviously nothing because we are not interpreting our scene and it still is in this way. And if you're guessing why it looks that weird, it's because it is floating in an ACES color space, which it's might not be supported by your monitor, or it might not be the type of calibration that your monitor have, and so it shows in this weird and compressed, obviously, way, because you might have your monitor set in 709 or something similar. So in order to change this automatically, what we can do is put on our input our specific color space. In this case will be ACES CG. There we are. And on the output, I will go for a Rec 709 because it's the color space I'm outputting right now my video. So if I click save, you can see that your image from your EXR will be perfectly transcoded into a 709. So that's really handy if you are in a rush and if you just need to have your like 709 showed off in a really quick way, in an automatic way. Still, it's not my favorite to go way. It's cool if you need to like make like something really fast and have the transcodification of all your clips in a really fast way, but still you will be inputting for the specific ACES CG, which won't fit exactly a timeline that has something like different cameras or different color spaces, and it won't be my choice. Also, the output transform that it gives you, it's not specific. It's good, you know, for different types of HDR, for other source codification if you need just to make this like an intermediate point, but not in my opinion for the output. What it might be better to do is the version C directly inside the timeline that you're going to see. But right now, let's see the second way, the B, which is the exact same thing, but directly in a timeline that we're going to create. So I can leave it as it is, just take my clip, right click and create a new timeline using selected clip. Right now I want to uncheck use project settings because I don't want to use this project settings. I just want to go there. I want to go to color, and is actually replaces everything that I did on the settings on the color management itself. So if I press create, nothing changes because right now I'm still transcoding my ACES CG into a 709. What it changed is that if I go into settings right now, this typo comes up that is any modification done here will not impact the currently loaded timeline as they are being overridden by timeline settings. That's a cool feature because, you know, if you have different timeline and you want to have like different color management, that's a really quick and handy way to just set them up directly through the timeline. But here again, if you go into timeline settings, one thing you want to know is that, again, we got an output transform, okay, based on our image. We got the ACES version, and that's really cool. That's really fast, and it's timeline based. But what if I want to control the color one by one on my clips and maybe do groups in the color section, and maybe have also other cameras and other things going around, and I want to have everything managed in a really custom way. So what I used to do is go here on the settings, and again you can do this on the timeline settings till on the project settings if you're working in the project, and it won't change from one side to the other. But what you want to do, it's not working color managed but working DaVinci IRGB. Okay, in this way you will be setting the timeline color space and the output color space. The timeline color space is the timeline your clip will be floating in, so how wide is the color space of your timeline. And it's cool here to set also ACES CG because it won't impact directly my image. If I have other camera, let's say other footage from cameras, iPhone, whatever, they will be floating inside there, and the tool that I have in the color page will respond inside this color space, but it won't affect like my starting point of each camera and each clip itself. What it will impact is the output color space. So here I want to set the output as I want to deliver, as I want to see, you know, my final output, and in my case will be Rec 709 Gamma 2.4, okay, broadcast standard. So if I now click OK, the image return as it was really dull and not properly good looking. Why that? Because what we told to the program itself is that we are floating in ACES CG and we want to see 4709 Gamma 2.4. But this thing here haven't changed the DNA of the EXR and the interpretation of the EXR. What we're going to do is to interpret this inside the color page. So it's perfect as it is. I want to click OK, and I want to go into the color page. Into the color page, I already have it here. I want to go into effects, and then I want to type ACES and drag ACES transform right here. Well, the ones that already are commonly using DaVinci Resolve, similar way to like interpret EXR files and files that work with ACES. It's like with the color space transform, it's another OFX great for cameras, but for these types of shots for EXR we want the ACES transform. Okay, so again we're going to settings, ACES transform, and now we want to put in the version 1.2, 1.3. It doesn't, you know, change a lot, but we want to work into 1.2. The input transform again is the one of my camera This is the input, this is the output, so it's ACES CG again. And right now I can do two things. I can do the exact same thing I've done till now, so Rec 709, and just see my image in Rec 709, or if I want to go crazy and if I want to obviously start migrating from here, I will go on output transform on something more interesting like ARRI-Log-C. In this way, my image will actually be interpreted as an ARRI-Log-C image from this out on. So this will be called right-click and, sorry about that, node label IDT. That stands for Input Device Transform. So from there on, my image will be interpreted as an ARRI-Log-C image. Now, the next video, I will show you a really quick and easy setup to set in your color grade and like have a really great and stunning result with your images. So now I'm going to show you a really simple but super efficient way to make your image stand out from this transcodification point. So what I want to do now, it's add three more actually serial node. I'm going to call this ODT. It will be our output device transform, and there I'm going to put my transformation that anyone here have inside DaVinci Resolve. Also here I will make my balance, so I will call it balance, and here I can do white balance, exposure and stuff. So on the ODT I go to effects, I'm going to take my color space transform, and I'm going to transform again my color space. So remember here I entered as ACES, I'm outputting as ARRI-Log-C. So here with my color space transform, I want to go from ARRI white gamut 3 to gamma ARRI-Log-C 3 to output color space that might be, you know, a Rec 709 gamma 2.2 if you want to do like the same thing that we did before. So if you just want to transcode right now, tweak stuff around, maintaining like an ARRI space, okay? But what I want to do here is go right there, Cineon film log, interpret this not as a 709 but as an ARRI white gamut again. And here I will put my film look that you also have inside Resolve. If you're gonna load film looks, I'll paste here Rec 709 code 23.3 D65, and boom, here it is. You got different version for Rec 709. We got the Fuji 3513Di, okay, in different temperatures, okay. And this, for someone that doesn't want to be bothered about color, it's a really nice go-to point. I'm going to rename this as FPE, as film print emulation. And on balance, I'm going here and I can change like exposure and stuff around. But what I want to do before that is not work with the offset, but on the HDR wheel with this 3 dots, color space, and interpret this not as a timeline, because as timeline it will be interpreted in my image in ACES. I don't want that. I want to be interpreted in the color space I'm floating in right now, because remember right now I'm in ARRI. So ARRI and gamma ARRI-Log-C, okay? Because remember here I'm outputting ARRI and right here I'm in ARRI. So if you're now going global, let's take a look at this, how it responds differently to my image in a more organic way, and everything is really responding in the greatest way possible. I can park my image in the place I want right now, and if I want to create something more from my structure, I just need to understand that I want to work here inside between IDT and the ODT. Obviously this is a really simple way of working your image in a super fast way actually, but that works and deliver efficiently. If you want to know more about color graded pipelines, everything you need to know, and to make your image even stand out, go on our shop check Professional Colorist Masterclass or Color Grading for Filmmakers, which is one in Italian and the other in English. And you have everything you need in terms of color grading. Okay, so to literally bring this to another level and know everything about Resolve. If you don't want to do that and you just want to stick with a really simple path, you can just copy your structure to all the other clips that you might have in your timeline, maintain it, or just create groups and stick to the base that we want an IDT, an ODT, and work in the middle in this way. So that's the really simple but efficient way that for this course, I think it works pretty well. And then in terms of deliver, it works in the exact same way as it might works for any other type of timeline. So you want to go there, select your formats dependently on the formats that you want, your resolution, and remember just to tag the correct color space and gamma dependently on the one that you might need for the output. Add to render queue and then render your file. So that's it. You have to decide and then render. I don't want to do that, not right now. By the way, that's it. Really simple but really efficient, as you can see. And again, we are not talking about grading a lot because it will take like hours and hours, and we have already masterclasses for that. You have a custom component code that is also made for that kind of investment if you want to put yourself into work into this and like create something even better from this. I think it's already perfect in this way, by the way. But if you want to know more about color grading, we have those classes. And still, I'm proud to present you the final video about the cinematography color grading till the next update. And I'll leave you now to the final video of the course. Hope you like that. Let me know about that. Let me know about what you think about this structure. And I'll see you in the next video.
Congratulations. Now you have all the information to create your first project. I can wait to see your works, and I remind you to follow Plasma in all its channels: Instagram, Discord, and Telegram. I hope you enjoyed this journey, and in the future you will see updates for Unreal Engine for filmmakers. So see you in the next lessons.